Sing me a song of a lass that is gone. Say goodbye.
Hi everyone, it's Holly and welcome to my Outlander discussion video, which will be filled with spoilers. So if you have not read Outlander, I highly suggest leaving now. I did do a non-spoiler review, which I will try to link below if you want to check that out first. Let's get the... okay, at this point, you've read Outlander or don't care if you get spoiled on things. So, let's discuss the main reason I'm making this video. The beating scene. So, when Jamie beats Claire, I did recently watch Natasha from Tashapolis's season 1B roundup where she like skated around this topic. But I don't see people talk about. I'm sure if I looked hard enough, I could find people talking about this. And I'm curious to see what happens when the show airs. But I was loving this book until this moment. I had little complaints, but nothing huge. It was well on its way to being a favorite for the year, being a 5-star read, and then the scene happened. And I just kept reading it, expecting him to be like, okay, I'll just pretend to hate you, or something, and that's not what happened. And I read historical romance, and I get historical accuracy, but to me, when I know this isn't a romance, but to me, I feel like I'm like flashing you guys. I apologize. I'm like bending over because I'm interested. I'm like trying to talk. But to me, you can be strong and be an alpha and get your point across, but still be a good person. And what I love about historicals is that you have these men with more modern sensibilities in a time when something like this would be okay. It really, really, really left a bad taste in my mouth, and I carried that throughout the rest of the book. I never was able to get over it. I'm still not over it. I'm very curious to see how the show handles it. And I think what made it worse for me, I could have handled if he had like hit her a little bit, like on her butt, like kind of like how you spank a child, like which still is wrong, but like to like spank a fully grown woman, but you're not supposed to do it out of anger. You're not supposed to leave a mark. Any of those things. And if it had been like that, you know, I could have moved on. I could have been like, historical accuracy, let's continue. But it wasn't, and he enjoyed it, and that made it worse. I remember after I read it, I was talking about it at work. I feel like I shouldn't have these conversations at work, but whatever. And I told my parents too, I had just hit that point, and I was like, I'm really conflicted right now. I like these characters, I like this story, but he hit her a lot, and not in that 50 Shades of Grey consensual way. That would have been fine. Like, it really bothered me, and then it was made worse by the fact that she got over it way too fast. He never apologized for it. He basically just offered excuses like, this is how I was raised. And I'm really not looking to be reading this series as it continues and see him like beat his children like this. And like I said, I don't have a problem with spanking, and like it just really bothered me. It really, really did. Jenny and Ian, I didn't want to talk about them in my review because like I don't know if like Jenny's existence is a spoiler or not. So I was like, I'll just not talk about her. Love them. Adore them. Would read books about them. I find them so interesting. I love her. I love him. He's like, Ian reminds me of guys I read about in historical romances all the time, and he like shows up randomly in Outlander, and I'm like, who are you? And I love you so, so much. I think they're a great couple. I love their relationship. I love their story. I think Jenny is really strong. I think she brings an interesting point of view on the story. I hope that they continue to be in the series. I'm sure they will be, but I hope they continue to be. They're freaking adorable. And I think they're both good people, and they bring a lightness, and they've both been through some pretty difficult things, but they're generally like funny people, and I think especially at the point in that, and like once you get there in the story, like you kind of need that lightness, which was nice. I don't know how to say it. Duncan, what the hell is going on? Like, are we gonna get like more information on her? Because I need more information. I am not satisfied with what I was given. I need to know more. I definitely started to suspect that she was from the future, but now having that like confirmed, I need so much more information about this. I feel like the show is being a lot more, and I don't know if it's because at that point I've read the book, so I know, so I'm seeing the signs more, but I feel like the show is a lot more heavy-handed with like suggesting that like she knows what's going on, because I feel like she does. I feel like she totally knows Claire is from the future and all of that. Which makes me wonder, does she just know this because she recognizes like a person out of their own time, or does she like know more? Like, I don't know, I'm so confused. Initially I was really suspicious of her and I didn't like her. I thought she was like trying to kill Claire, and I didn't know why I thought that, but I thought she was. I don't know what her motivation would have been. I didn't trust her at all. Every time she came up I was like, Claire, don't be trusting her. I really hope we get more information about her though, because I think she's so interesting. I don't know if she's really dead. I assume she is. I'm kind of hoping she's not, because I want to know more. I don't know. I kind of want to just know more in general about the whole time travel magical things. Is like, how much are we to believe, really? And the fact that somebody else has traveled through time makes it an even more complex thing to me. And then Jamie's rape. Oh my god, I don't even want to think about how the show is going to handle this. I didn't think this was going to happen. I had seen, I think Sasha Alsberg had said, from a book Utopia, had said that something huge happens at the end of this book. And I thought that that was going to be like Claire going back to the future or something, and then she was going to have to travel, but I don't know. And so that's what I kept thinking. For some reason, that's what I thought was going to happen, was Claire made this choice to go back to the future, and it was going to have to be that. I don't know why I thought that, but that's what I thought. And for this to be, and I kept waiting even after this for like that to drop. I'm like, that's what's going to happen. I convinced myself. It is very surprising. And to this extent, I never thought this was going to happen. I think it's a really touchy subject, and in a lot of ways I'm glad that Diana Gabaldon did it. I think it adds an interesting psychology to the story. I hope it continues on into the next book. I don't think that's something you just get over. Which I'm not saying he did in this book either. Seriously, if there wasn't the beating scene, this would be like a favorite, because I loved those scenes, like the end, like last, like 150, 200 pages where they're like in the, what is it, like a monastery or whatever. I liked that priest guy. He was a hoot. I liked him. Hopefully he continues to be a presence. His recovery and his journey, and not his physical recovery, because that, like, whatever, but his emotional and psychological journey is so interesting. And I mean, I find that interesting anyways. Sometimes I feel like I'm a messed up person for liking that kind of stuff, but it's so interesting to see how people handle and process and move on and are affected by those things. And oh my god, it wasn't even like he was just raped. Like, it was horrible. And especially to see somebody, like, I'm almost glad it was him and not Claire. I think the easy way out was for Claire to be raped, but for it to be him and in the way he was, and to not even be able to fight back, but to just lose all agency, kind of like a woman normally does, is really interesting. I do kind of wish his journey, like their journey back together, had lasted a little longer, but like I said, I hope that continues on in the next book. I've heard the next book is like a doozy. Like, I keep hearing people say that it like wrecks you really early on, and I'm like, what can possibly happen to make it worse? Like, I don't understand. And then a few other things are just, I don't completely understand Dougal. I had said in my review that I feel like I don't always know what the characters' like thoughts are and why they're doing what they're doing. And Dougal doesn't not make a lot of sense to me. I don't know if it's just me or what it is, but like, he seems to always be making decisions that don't line up with each other, and I'm just confused. So I'm hoping we get to spend more time with him, just so I can kind of learn more and get there more. Along with Gillis Duncan, is she dead or not? Is Jack Randall really dead? I just feel like it seemed very easily resolved, so I'm thinking maybe not. if he is. I'm kind of playing comic book rules here, where no body, no death. Like, I want to know if we'll ever get to see Frank again. I know in the show, in 1B, there's going to be no more Frank, but I want to know if Frank will show up more. I don't know how he would, but I'm curious. Will we ever read from Jamie's perspective? Or anyone's? I like Claire's voice. I think she has a nice voice, but I also want to know more about these characters, and especially Jamie. I think he's interesting. You know, he's like the other lead, so I would love to be able to read more about him from his perspective. I'm sure that these questions can be answered, but I'll have to find out when I read them. The only other thing is, I kind of wish this book had looked, and this is what I thought this book was going to do, and it didn't. I think it tried a little bit, but failed, is to look at how this woman in the 1940s, which was a very changing time for women in the world, they were gaining more rights, the whole war effort, like women having been like actively involved in war or having to work at home but then going back to old jobs, and suddenly they're, but like having suddenly had agency and had independence and having that taken away, and that struggle. I mean, I think that's what leads into like a more feminist like a feminist revolution kind of, and all of those movements. So to have somebody like Claire go back to a time period like the 1700s where women have almost nothing, I kind of wanted to explore those like changing roles and how they're similar and dissimilar and all of that, and we just didn't get enough of that. I think you get a little bit of that with Gillis Duncan because she's trying to find the power where she can, but it's just not enough. I wanted to explore more, and I think a huge part of that is, you know, I've just gotten off watching Agent Carter, and which takes place in the 1940s and is about a similar woman who was involved in the war effort and comes home and has a different life, and that show addresses those topics in such a great way. So I don't know if I'm coming at it unfairly with that perspective or what, but I just wish we had explored that more. So if you have any comments or questions on this discussion video, I really thought that this discussion video was going to turn into a rant, but I feel like it didn't, which I'm really grateful for. But if you want to talk about anything, I say that spoilers, free game in the comments, because only for this book though, not for future books. Do not spoil me. That would make me angry. But like I said in my review, I do plan on continuing with this series. I bought this in mass market paperback, which I didn't like reading. I mentioned this in my wrap up when I finished this. It was just way too big for me, like thick. That was inappropriate sounding. Anyways, but I don't know, I don't really want hardcover either. So if you have read these books and have a suggestion on what format I should buy them in, not ebooks, I don't really like ebooks. I'll read them, but I'm not a fan. Let me know, because I'm kind of looking into that. I think I'm going to buy these used from now on. But yeah, if you have a suggestion for reading format, let me know, because I just don't know what might be best for reading a book this big. Thank you so much for watching. Like I said before, if you want to comment or discuss, feel free to do so down in the comments. And I'll see you next time. Bye!